Hey, so there was no tutorial online for changing the 7-speed manual transmission in the Porsche 991.1. So I'm going to go ahead and go through that right now. I bought some parts from the Porsche dealer. So the gear oil and some of the gaskets that I may need for the drain and fill plugs from FCP Euro. So I'm going to go ahead and put the car up on my quick jacks and we'll go from there. If you guys have never used these quick jacks before, they're incredibly helpful. And I think they're well worth it. I mean, I was able to split it with a friend, so we do share it. But it just makes doing brakes, tire rotations, transmission services so much easier. Raise it up. Its highest position here. I'm gonna go check, make sure they're all locked, and we'll get going again.
From this point forward, I was not able to get complete videographic evidence of the end-to-end process, but that's really okay. This ends up being just like any other drain and fill for a transmission or a transaxle. So if you've done that before, this will be, pretty much the same. One item that might be a little bit different is you do have to get your undertray off. This actually ended up being the most complicated part for me out of the whole process. The quick jacks actually got in the way here. Those rubber blocks that the quick jacks use on my jack points was preventing me from removing the undertray completely. So I had to loosen the tray, lower the car, raise the car after removing that tray. And then after that, the transmission is exposed for you. There is a drain and fill on here. You'll want to get that fill off first, just so that you can get your oil back in there. You can ensure that you can get your oil back in case if something goes wrong. So get your fill off first. These are 8mm hex. I had some issue getting the fill off because of the proximity next to a hard line. So this hard line didn't allow me to use the bit in my socket. So what I did was I used the 8mm box wrench with that bit and broke it free. This didn't end up being a big issue, but you may want to take that into account when you do this. After you get your fill plug out, you'll want to go ahead and get your drain plug loosened up. At this point your gear oil will drain. It's going to smell great. I wasn't sure if the previous owner had done this before I had got the car, but I wanted to do it, for a number of reasons. One, it's a new car to me. I just want to make sure new fluids are in there. And two, I was actually looking for a little bit, better cold shift performance and maybe a little bit smoother operation. So mine came out a bit orangish, smelling great. But I got about 3 liters out, and after that, went ahead and plugged it back up. And just like any other gear oil change, you'll want to go ahead and pump in the new fluid until you fill port until it starts dripping out. I actually put in about 3 liters. I bought 4, but after 3 liters, it was dribbling out pretty good, so I went ahead and plugged it back up and left it there. I'm actually going to put in the part numbers I use for the drain and fill plugs as well as the OEM transaxle oil. So I actually got the oil from the dealer, Porsche branded. You can probably use a Redline or AMS-OIL. I've used both those products in the past in different cars and love them, but I just decided to go OEM this time around for whatever reason. I don't think it really matters, but oil debates are there for a reason, so use what you want. The feel for me at the end ended up actually being better. I think the cold performance is dramatically improved, and I do think some of the shifting improvements I feel are the gear lever is a little bit easier to slot in as I go through the gears. I think either way I would have seen an improvement just because of the placebo effect, but I really do think there's some measurable difference here. If I could measure the amount of force I have to exert on the gear lever, perhaps that would be different. But of course I didn't do that. I just wanted to make this video to consolidate some information out there. There wasn't that much out there for the 7-speed manual. Not sure why. I think there's probably more GT3 tutorials or GT3 information out there. Maybe because the type of person that buys a GT3 versus a Carrera S, I don't know. But I just wanted to, get these part numbers and gear information and capacities around for you guys. So hopefully someone finds this useful. I don't really have any other maintenance plan for this anytime soon. I did do my spark plugs and air cleaner filters, some time ago. That actually ended up being pretty easy as well. The spark plugs are really accessible underneath the engine. You do want to make sure you do that every 40,000 miles. Got to avoid that galvanic corrosion, if nothing else. I'm sure the spark element on it was actually fine. The air cleaner is a little bit, painful. You do have to take off your bumper in this series. It really isn't that big of a deal, but it's going to take you longer than you think. But having said that, I think this car still really is accessible. A little bit more than I think more normal people might expect of a Porsche. All right, so hopefully you guys find this useful, and I'll try to put out a little bit more information here as I see some gaps in the community.